Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Everyday School Day with the Butterfly Princess. Today we are looking at lecture 11 of the course Jesus and his Jewish influences, taught by Professor Jody Magnus. Now lecture 11 in the course is entitled Jesus' Jewish Lineage. So here goes. Delving into the genealogy of Jesus is like uncovering layers of history and culture. It's fascinating how historical and religious texts intertwine to tell us about his lineage. The New Testament provides two genealogies of Jesus. The first is in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 1 verses 1 to 17, and the second in the Gospel of Luke within Luke chapter 3 verses 23 to 38. Matthew's genealogy traces Jesus' lineage through Joseph, starting from Abraham, highlighting Judean royalty and emphasising Jesus as the Messiah, fulfilling Jesus' prophecy. It features notable figures like King David and Solomon. Meanwhile, Luke's genealogy traces back from Jesus all the way to Adam, showing Jesus' connection to all humanity. It also goes through Joseph, but the path is slightly different from Matthew's, and it includes names like Nathan, another son of David, rather than Solomon. This beautifully ties in with Jewish heritage and the global aspect of Jesus' message. The genealogies serve not just as lists of names, but as narratives rich with symbolism and meaning. Each ancestor mentioned plays a role in Jewish history and tradition, carrying significant theological implications. So, fulfillment of prophecy. In Jewish tradition, the Messiah was expected to come from the lineage of David. By tracing Jesus' lineage back to David, the genealogists underscore the fulfillment. Cultural heritage. These genealogies reflect Jesus' intricate ties to Jewish culture, highlighting significant parables like Abraham and Jacob. Universal aspect. Luke's genealogy extending to Adam speaks to the inclusivity of Jesus' message to all humanity, not limited to just Jewish people alone. Exploring the quest for independence from the Seleucid rule opens a fascinating chapter in history. The Seleucid Empire, founded by one of Alexander the Great's generals, dominated much of the Middle East, including the land of Israel. However, the Jewish population's longing for religious freedom and autonomy sparked significant events. The struggle for independence is most vividly marked by the Maccabean revolts, which we've already discussed, led by Judas Maccabeus and his brothers. This revolt around 167 between 160 BCE was a passionate fight against Hellenism, the spread of Greek culture, which we've already discussed, and opposition, including the desecration of the Jewish temple by Antiochus IV. The victory of the Maccabees eventually led to the establishment of the Hasmonean dynasty, securing Jewish autonomy for roughly a century. Cultural resistance, right, so we've done that. When diving into a concept of jurisdiction, especially in historical context, we're looking at the authority or power to apply laws and make legal decisions. It's like the boundaries of where a ruler's power extends. Think of it as a legal map. In the case of Jewish independence from the Seleucid rule, the concept of jurisdiction plays a crucial role in understanding how autonomy and governance were established. Hasmonean dynasty power. With the Maccabean victory over the Seleucids, the Hasmoneans held jurisdiction over Judea and the surrounding areas. It meant that they could enforce Jewish laws, manage local affairs, and maintain religious practices without external interference. So external is the opposite to internal. Internal means it's coming from within. External means it's coming from outside. Legal and cultural transformation. The shift in jurisdiction allowed for a resurgence of Jewish legal systems and customs. Modern ideas. Today, jurisdiction affects everything from local government decisions to international law. The rebellion against Alexander Junius is quite a dramatic chapter in ancient history. This period brims with intrigue, showcasing the complexities of leadership, power, and acceptance. Alexander Junius was a Hasmonean king and a high priest who ruled from around 103 to 76 BCE. His reign was characterised by expansion but also significant internal strife. Conflict with Pharisees. The Pharisees, a group which was a group that lived during the time, a Jewish sect that lived in the time of Jesus. There were four main Jewish sects in the time of Jesus, and these were Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, and Zealots, which we will talk about them in a future episode. The Pharisees, a group deeply committed to Jewish law and traditions, opposed Junius because of his Sadducean learnings and perceived neglect of religious customs. This conflict escalated into a full-blown rebellion, highlighting the tensions between political power and religious authority. Prolonged revolts. The political turmoil during his reign was marked by several revolts and uprisings. Some historians describe brutal methods of suppression which led to further dissatisfaction among his subjects. The rebellion even invited external intervention from the Seleucid Empire. Legacy. Despite the rebellions, Junius left a legacy of torrential expansion. His actions set the stage for future Hasmonean rulers, underlining how just one leader's impact can reverberate through time. The seekers of smooth things is a captivating term that refers to a group mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls, bringing to light intriguing aspects of ancient Jewish sectarian dynamics. Who were they? The seekers of smooth things were likely associated with the Jewish Sadducees, a group often contrasted with other sects like the Pharisees and the Essenes. The term itself found in texts from Qumran, which was the site of where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. We're going to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls in a future episode, but Qumran is the site where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. Seems to describe individuals who sought ease and possible compromise on strict adherence to Jewish law for favourable relations. Why are they interesting? Segregation tensions. The name hints at the ideology conflict between the more ascetic Essenes and groups like the Sadducees, who were perceived by some as being more focused on political power than spiritual rigour. Cultural and philosophical implications. The monarchy seekers of smooth things paints a vivid picture of a complex society grappling with issues of traditional versus moderation, a theme seen in literature and history alike. Symbolic reflections. The term also raises questions about what it means to seek smooth things in broader context, whether it's in leadership, ethnical decisions, or personal journeys. Exploring these historical identities can splash colour into our understanding of how the past revealed. Linking Jesus and King David opens the door to rich historical and theological tapestry. The connection between these two figures holds significant importance in both Christian and Jewish traditions, creating narratives filled with prophecy, leadership and legacy. The lineage connection, genealogical significance. According to the New Testament, Jesus is often portrayed as a descendant of King David. This lineage establishes him as fulfilling ancient prophecies, which stated that the Messiah, that the lineage establishes him as fulfilling ancient prophecies, which stated that the Messiah would emerge from David's line in Jewish traditions. David's reign marked a golden era for Israel, characterised by unity and prosperity. Prophet fulfillment. For Christians, emphasising Jesus as David's descendant signifies the fulfilment of Messianic prophecies. This linkage is politically expressed in books like the Book of Matthew, leadership and legacy. Both figures are seen as central leaders, the former a king and the latter a spiritual guide. David's legacy highlighted leadership in a temporal kingdom, whereas Jesus is seen as heralding a new spiritual kingdom. Exploring these deep ties can only draw connections in historical studies, but also enhance thematical explorations in stories. Exploring whether Jesus and King David were actually related involves diving into both biblical text and ancestral law. In Christian theology, Jesus is associated with the genealogical line of David, often regarded as a fulfillment of Messianic prophecy. Genealogical links. Biblical genealogies, both the Gospel of Matthew and Luke, trace Jesus' lineage back to King David. These genealogies are central to biblical narratives, underscoring Jesus as the anticipated Messiah from David's royal line. Symbolic connection. The David lineage is symbolically significant as it links Jesus to notions of kingship, heritage, and divine promise. This connection resonates profoundly within the Christian tradition, where prophecies and their fulfillment are pivotal. Cultural reflection. So, historical context. Royal lineage. King David, as the second king of Israel, symbolises a peak of Jewish monarchy, a time of political stability, cultural flourishing, and spiritual significance. David's lineage was revered because of prophetic promises that his descendants would rule significantly. This historical context enhances genealogical claims by linking Jesus to this esteemed heritage. Messianic prophecy. The expectation of a Messiah descending from David is problematic in Jewish prophetical text. In Christian context, David's lineage is crucial because it connects him with these prophecies, suggesting divine fulfillment and continuity. Characterization. Linking Jesus to David enriches his characterization, portraying him as a person of both divine orientation and humble origins. In many narratives, lineage can shape a character's journey in social roles. Artistic representations often illustrate the lineage to emphasize the continuity of divine promises. The Origins of Judaism by David M. Goldenberg, particularly chapter 5, the first kingdom of Judah, is a fantastic way to explore ancient history and the development of Judaic traditions. This chapter unfolds the early days of Judah anticipating political, cultural, and religious evolution that have shaped Jewish identity over centuries. Key themes and highlights. Founding of Judea. Chapter 5 likely highlights the establishment of Judea as a political entity emerging from a tapestry of tribes and territories. It navigated complex realization and conflicts with neighbouring civilizations. Historical landscape. Political formation. The initial phase of Judea involved navigating diplomatic relations and territorial expansions. This chapter probably includes how tribes united under charismatic leaders to foster a stronger unified kingdom. Tribal to monarch traditions, leadership. The shift from tribal governance to monarchy under figures like Saul and David anticipated challenging of colligating power and managing diverse tribes. Fusion of traditions. As Judea evolved, the blending of tribal customs with emerging monarch traditions shaped its religious practices and cultural identity, laying the groundwork for future Judaic development. Influence on neighbours, cross-cultural interactions. Judea's interactions with neighbouring regions brought about cultural exchanges and influenced its own religious and social practices. These exchanges can inform reflections on the importance of cross-cultural dialogue in shaping historical narratives and identities. Interrelationships echo themes with your... Yeah. The Hasmonean rulers, beginning with the famous Judas Maccabee, transitioned from priests to kings, fostering a new form of Jewish governance. This leap from religious leadership to political power echoes themes often explored in literature. The Hasmonean kings dealt with the non-Jewish Israelite rights. Hasmonean approach to non-Jewish populations. Integration strategies. The Hasmonean kings often employed strategies aimed at interrogating conquered territories. This sometimes involved enforcing Jewish laws and practices mixed with attempts to maintain peace and order. Forced conversion. There are accounts of forced conversion and jurisdiction policies. The Hasmoneans sometimes required conquered peoples to adopt Jewish customs and religious practices, such as circumcision and the observance of Jewish laws. Political control and tolerance. While controlling territories, the Hasmoneans often balanced political authority with practical tolerance, negotiating local traditions with Jewish laws to maintain stability. Consequences of Hasmonean policies. These policies sometimes led to tension and unrest among non-Jewish populations is differing. Yeah. So this is a story I've made up about the genealogical tapestry of Jesus. So here's the story. In the ancient hills and valleys of Judea, where olive trees whispered secrets through the winds, existed a lineage that had been recounted by many through time. This is the genealogy of Jesus, a tale of intertwined paths, destinies, and spiritual journeys. Among echoes of prophets and kings, once upon a time aimed the sacred text of old promised echoes of kings like David and Solomon, descended from humble roots in Bethlehem, the smallest of Judea's clans, yet known to birth great promises. In these narratives, woven with divine purpose, lay rabbis, courageous hearts, and steadfast loyalty, crafting links to a legacy destined to reshape world. In this tale, we embark on a journey across generations, paired through like Abraham, whose faith sparked new beginnings, and the father of kings. These figures of enduring faith tell stories that transcended more lineage, revealing whispered promises of redemption and grace. So here's a story that I've made up as well. here are the characters, and the title of the story is Echoes of Promises, a genealogical journey. So the characters: Abraham, a man of unwavering faith and visionary dreams, setting the foundations for generations. His heart carries tales of promises wrapped in the warmth of the desert skylight. Ruth, a spirited woman whose loyalty knows no bounds. Distinguished by her rebellion, she journeys into a foreign land, discerning to sculpt her destiny despite life's prevailing winds. David, the shepherd turned king, weaving tales of psalms and prowess. Known for his charisma and courage, David's leadership, birthed from humble roots and driven by divine promises. Josiah, a reformer king wrapped in a journey of rediscovery of ancient texts and bloodlines, driven by youthful exuberance. Josiah embodies quest for truth enshrined with fulfillment promise. Mary, the gentle mother whose silent strength and dignity cradle eternal hope. Through her grace and unwavering faith, Mary embodies the promise fulfilled and unyielding love of her Son. In ancient lands where whispers of destiny flow amidst olive groves, Abraham gazes into the heavens, dreaming of countless descendants, reflecting the divine promise. His legacy echoes through these sands of time, igniting tales woven with faith and fortitude. Among these tales emerges Ruth, a woman of undeniable determination, leaving behind everything known to embark on new horizons. She embodies the strength and spirit needed to inspire love and unity, finding purpose in belonging that transcends borders. Then behold, just bear with me. Across generations, Jacob's struggle become lessons of transformation through encounters with divine messages, inspiring contemplations on identity and purpose. Meanwhile, Rabbi's courage, action. Right, I'm going to start. Right, so Jacob, known for his struggles and dreams, Jacob's story emerges through whispers of transformation and identity. The leader of angels, he envisages connects earth to heaven, symbolising divine encounters that shape destinies. The brave woman who hides spices, marking her transition from peril to promise. Rahab's courage and faith mirror significant leaps, harmonising revelations of grace and redemption. Solomon, known for his wisdom that transcends ages, Solomon's reign is adored with tales of profound understanding and judgment, shaping paths divined by insight and solace. The leader amidst ruins, charged with rebuilding and renewal. His story embodies hope and restoration, threading a future tapestry from fragments of past narratives. The unassuming carpenter of Nazareth, this is Joseph. whose steadfast devotion crafts bonds of love and promises with Mary, embracing a divine journey of humility beneath ancestral skylight. Across generations, Jacob's struggle becomes lessons of transformation through encounters with divine messages, inspiring contemplation of identity and purpose. Meanwhile, Rahab's courageous acts reveal narratives of redemption, defining legacies linked through grace and sacrifice. In Solomon's reign, wisdom nurtures serene government, crafting judgment that transcended mortal limit and enriched across life flames of hope. In Nazareth, Joseph's humble hands craft symbols of enduring love. A carpenter crafting destiny supported by Mary's quiet resolve aimed for divine unfolding. Within the union, the legacy fulfills its promise, transcending revelations through innocent, heartfelt devotion and celestial alignment. And that concludes this week's episode of Every Day is a School Day with the Butterfly Princess. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you can join me next week for the next episode. But until then, have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.